Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Ape Nation Live, your number one source for all things Planet of the Apes on YouTube. My name is Josh, and today we are talking our favorite scenes from Planet of the Apes. I asked you guys to submit some of your favorite scenes from all the Planet of the Apes movies, TV shows, whatever else you want to talk about. And I thought today would just be a very chill, relaxed conversation with all of you guys, talking about everything we love about this franchise. So, no real main topic today, just me kind of reading off you guys' comments, and I'll throw in some of mine too. Today's just really relaxed. Today's Labor Day for at least everyone in United States, so a lot of us have the day off. So I thought it'd be a lot of fun to just have a chill time, just casually talking all of our favorite scenes. So if you got a favorite scene from the original series, the reboots, their Tim Burton movie, or even the TV shows, whatever you want to talk about. And, well, not all the TV shows. I'm still in the middle of watching one of them, but yeah, whatever you want to talk about. Just start off firing your favorites in the chat, or if you have something else you want to talk about too, you can do that. I'm trying to keep it strictly to favorite scenes and moments from Planet of the Apes, but if you have other other topics you want to talk about, we can cover those too. But I guess with all that said, let's just kind of get started here. I'll pull up the first one. Let me see if I can read the name here. Oh, that's better. Skimia Imperiale. I hope I pronounced that right. I hope I didn't butcher that. The birth of Caesar / Milo for me is full of power. That's a great scene. That's a really great moment. Great moment for Cornelius and Zira. And it's also like the first nice moment that they actually have in that movie for the first time in a while, because it's nice for the first half, and then everything goes crazy, and then it's just constant chaos and sadness for a good half an hour of that movie before they get that little reprieve of the birth of their child. So yeah, that's a great moment. I agree with there for sure. Let's see. Ooh, that's a good one. David Whitner, I understand, Mr. McDonald. Of course, this is the scene from Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, where Caesar reveals his ability to speak for the first time, talking to Mr. McDonald. Awesome scene. That's a great scene. I actually, since we just did the reactions that we recorded that we're going to be dropping later this year, I recently rewatched Conquest, and that scene, I mean, there's a million scenes in that movie that are great, but that scene, so powerful. I don't think it's quite as impactful as the first time Caesar speaks in Rise, but it's not that far off. They're pretty much on par with each other in terms of just effectiveness of the character and of the moment and of the scene. So yeah, great scene. Not Andy Serkis, Roddy McDowell, his delivery is great. That silence before he says it is really, really intense. So yeah, just great scene, great performance from both him and from who plays Mr. McDonald. I'm not going to forget this. Mr. McDonald. I should know this. Planet of the Apes. I've only talked about him like a dozen times, and I'm going to forget the name of him. Harry Rhodes. I don't know why I forgot that, but yeah, Harry Rhodes. The performance from him and Roddy McDowell in that scene is phenomenal. So yeah, totally agree. Great scene. From Mats, I would like to make the argument that the scene in Dawn where Blue Eyes is apologizing to Caesar is the most underrated scene in the entire Planet of the Apes franchise. That's a good scene. I do actually. I agree. It's a good father-son moment between Caesar and Blue Eyes, and that's one of the things about Dawn that I actually think is underrated completely in general, is just that relationship between Caesar and Blue Eyes. No one really talks about it when they talk about the trilogy or Dawn at all. So yeah, I totally agree. That scene's great. You have Blue Eyes, his moment where he just starts, he speaks for the first time. I think that's really great. It kind of goes hand in hand with that apology and that kind of moment between the two, where kind of Caesar, he realizes what he's been doing wrong, but then his son also realizes what he's been doing wrong. They have this great bonding moment. So yeah, I totally agree. That's a fantastic scene. I don't know if it's the most underrated, but it's an underrated scene. It is absolutely an underrated scene. Oh, here's a favorite of mine. Not really, maybe not a scene fully, but a moment. E. Shepherd, Because I Loathe Bananas. That's great. That's a great moment. Gets a great laugh from me every time. Again, just watched all these movies again recently, and when we got to that scene in Escape, that was we all found that really funny. So yeah, it's a great line from Zero there. From See You Later Boy, the whole "I see how much like them we are." Yeah, yeah, goes kind of hand in hand with Blue Eyes' apology to Caesar. That moment of Caesar realizing what he's been doing wrong in conjunction with also his son realizing what he's been doing wrong. So yeah, it's a really powerful scene. All this kind of I don't know how you call it, but the moments of characters realizing their own flaws, I think in that movie is a major part of it. It's a major part of War too, but I think that's a major part of it. I think that is kind of the symbolic scene of that theme, if you will, in that movie. Let's see. Take a sip here. Um, oh, here's a good one from Anton Masopust. My favorite series is from Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. That big confrontation scene between the governor, Breck, and Caesar. Yeah, yeah, it's a great scene too. Um, I'm assuming you mean the scene right before Caesar takes him outside, and tells his apes to go, where it's just Governor Breck just kind of giving him a little bit of a monologue before Caesar kind of has his way and takes him along. If you're talking about that scene, yeah, that's a great scene too. That's a really good scene. I've talked about it before, but I'm not a big fan of the character of Governor Breck, but his performance, Don Murray's performance in that moment where he delivers all that really, I think maybe not like the most clever dialogue, but just very entertaining dialogue and great villain monologue. It's really really good. That scene between the two is great. The performances between the two is great. It's really just great to see these two really heavy hitting actors going back and forth. So yeah, I agree. Really really great moment. Great confrontation between the hero and villain. See you later, boy. Everyone in Ape Nation just chatting about our favorite scenes. This is literally the best thing that's happened to me all month. Oh well, that's awesome. I'm glad I can help you make your month a little bit better, even though it is only the beginning of the month technically. So you still got a while to go, but I appreciate the sentiment. That's awesome. Um, Oh, here's another good one. See you later, boy. I love the leave him scene so much. Everyone had been disappointed in Caesar at that time until he speaks up and they all stand by him instantly. Yeah, that's also a great scene. The kind of his Moses moment that kind of really transcends the character of Caesar into that ape messiah figure, I think really happens during that, all the stuff at the camp there, um, where Caesar stands up for the apes. He gets in the way of that one orangutan being whipped. I think it's a great moment for sure. It's really powerful. Andy Serkis's delivery in that scene, like his performance of leave him, and also not just dialogue wise, but in his eyes, like you can really see like so much like pain and what he's been through and trauma and everything through the eyes of Andy Serkis in that performance through those scenes when they are at the wall and building everything. So yeah, it's a phenomenal scene. Um, Definitely one of the darker but more memorable moments of that movie. Next up is from Christopher. My personal favorite scene from Rise is him saying no, since it's his nice call. It's a nice callback with what Cornelius was talking about in Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Yes, yes, 100% agree. I mean, there's a million reasons I love that scene. It's that's For those who didn't watch my top, I think it was top ten favorite movie moments from Planet of the Apes video that I put out. I don't know when I put it out, maybe like earlier this year, end of last year, something like that. Um, but if you didn't see that, that was my number one. The Caesar saying no is my favorite scene in all of Planet of the Apes. That's like one of my favorite scenes, period, in a movie, like ever. It's so phenomenal. It's so epic. It's so earned. Like the movie really does a great job in building up to that scene. And so when you get it, it's so satisfying. Anytime I've watched that movie or shown it to someone else, I always get so excited just to see their reaction to that scene because it's so shocking. Even if like you kind of know it's coming because like it's Planet of the Apes, they talk eventually. You suspect he's gonna talk, but even if you do, it's really impactful because the movie does such a good job at distracting you and hiding that scene kind of. And so It's great. It's a really great scene. Andy Serkis again, phenomenal with how he plays it. Um, I'll even say, you know what? I give what's his name, Tom Felton, a lot of crap for his performance in that movie because I mean him and the writing for that movie because you think he's not good, but his kind of shocked expression in that moment is actually really good. It's like really, it seemed very genuine and like really like he's actually like shocked and terrified and has no idea what to do. So I'll give him credit for that too. Okay, but yeah, it's a great scene. Totally agree. Anton Massapust, you should read Revolution on the Planet of the Apes. It's a great comic. I will probably get to it eventually. I have I'm still putting together my comics video. I talked about it in my live stream 2 weeks ago, but one of the videos I'm planning on doing towards the end of this year is a beginner's guide to Planet of the Apes from the perspective of a beginner who's reading Planet of the Apes comics. And so um, I'm really excited to dive and take a look at, but I'm still putting together like which comics are which and looking at lists and I know there's like a big guide to all of them somewhere, but I'm kind of trying to take that and turn it into like a very simplified thing. So I'm looking at that and I'm sure that's on there somewhere. I don't know where it fits in the timeline or the canon or whatever, but yeah, I'm sure I will get to it eventually. Um, that was a nice comment. Tony74874A, you have a great channel. Thank you for all the work you put into it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I do, not to blow smoke, but I do put a lot of work into this channel. I've spent a lot of time doing this channel, arguably a little too much time sometimes, but I love doing it. I love talking to you guys about Planet of the Apes. Even, when there's not a lot going on with the franchise, like right now, like we haven't heard anything about the next movie. No news as far as like any sort of other things going on right now, but even when there's not like a lot going on, I just love talking about this franchise because I, truth be told, have very little other people to talk about it with. Outside of Travis and Cal, who you guys have met on this channel, who even then, like, they're not diehard fans of it like I am. And even my girlfriend, who I recently showed the movies to and she loved, she's a casual person similarly. She's not going to like get nerd out about these movies with me. So I have you guys to do that with. And so, it's really fun to have a place where not only do I get to talk about these movies and shows and books and whatever, but I can like really dive deep into them. And not only do I get to do it with you guys, but like it's kind of the only spot on the internet to do it because you look at like something like the Planet of the Apes subreddit, which I frequent here and there, but it's not like that's a crazy popular hub for people talking constantly. And so yeah, it's like this is my spot to just every time I want to talk about this franchise, which is very often, more often than I ever thought it would be. Because I truthfully, when I started this channel, I was a major fan, but I wasn't thinking about Planet of the Apes day in, day out. But ever since I did, I do. And I thought I would get tired of it, but I haven't. So either that speaks to how strongly I've run this channel or how much I love this franchise or a mix of both or how great you guys have been. But either way, yeah, I appreciate the kind words, and yeah, I love everything I've been doing here, and I'm excited to keep doing more for as long as I can. From David Whitner, Roddy's appearance on the Carol Burnett show in his ape makeup transformed my life. I am way too young to know anything about that, unfortunately, but I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and I will maybe take a look at it at some point, and maybe, yeah, that would be interesting to check out. Um, from See You Later Boy, this is a small scene, but when Caesar checks on Cornelia while she's sick, but she doesn't want to worry him and still acknowledges how stressed he is. Hold on, I read that completely wrong. This is a small scene, but when Caesar checks on Cornelia while she's sick, but she doesn't want to worry him and still acknowledges how stressed he. That's okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, even though she's fighting pneumonia, right? Yeah, that's a great moment too. More like just like a small moment. Totally agree. But yeah, it's a nice little moment between the two. That's one thing, and I think I've talked about this before. Excuse me for a second. But I think that's something that the trilogy, if it has any real flaws, it's that I mean, it's kind of two in one, but there aren't really any female characters that have like significant roles, at least on the ape side of things. There's one or two. There you have what's her name? Carrie Russell, who plays Ellie in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and then you have Freya Pinto in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. You have those two characters as human females protagonist type roles, but beyond that, and but they're no, they're very fine at best characters. But then on the ape side of things, you don't really have anybody. You don't have anybody in Rise. You have Cornelia, who's in the movie, but she doesn't say a single word. I think she doesn't really say more than like three or four words, and they're all silent through sign language. And then she dies, 30, 20 minutes into war. So that was the one thing. And on the other side of that coin, part of that other problem is that the relationship between Caesar and Cornelia, it's not really there. Like, it's there in the movie, it serves its purpose, but we never get to see the characters really meet. We never get to see them have any sort of real interaction. We never get to see the two um, really grow much of a relationship. So having at least one or two moments like that moment where they check on where he checks on her and she wants him to just focus on everything else going on and just wants him to be okay. Um, Totally agree. I think moments like that do help. I wish we had more moments like that, but I'm happy that we have at least that and maybe one or two others. From Robert Verstraten, you blew it up. That is, of course, from the ending of the original. That is a classic scene. It's one of the best scenes. I don't know where it ranked in my top 10, but it's like number two or number three. I don't remember, but it's easily one of the best scenes in the franchise. Honestly, it's one of the best scenes of all time. One of the best scenes in movies. Um, and yeah, it's one of the best endings for me, bar none. E Shepherd, Judy Greer doesn't get enough credit or as Cornelia. I mean, yes and no. I think she's a great actress. She's a very underrated actress, and having her as Cornelia is awesome. It's just really she doesn't get a whole lot to do. Like I feel like pretty much anybody could have played that role, which is unfortunate. But it is cool that she's in it, and yeah, she's a great actress. So yeah, I think maybe not enough credit just in the fact that an actress of her kind of, I guess, caliber, for lack of a better term, is playing her, doesn't get enough recognition. Yeah, I can see that. From See You Later Boy, too bad the Statue of Liberty reveal was ruined for me with pop culture jokes. I wonder how I would have reacted if I never saw it coming. Yeah, it's unfortunately it's one of those things where everybody knows. Like, especially, and the other thing is now with the modern movies that just show the apes taking over Earth, if you watch those first or even know about what they're about, then you just know that Planet of the Apes takes place on an Earth where eventually apes took over the world. So whether it's through that or just pop culture jokes or just, it's similar to like, Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back. It's like that's one of those iconic pop culture moments. Everyone knows the twist, or like the not Unbreakable. What's the other M Night Shyamalan movie I'm thinking of? The Sixth Sense. Like in Sixth Sense, the Bruce Willis reveal, like things like that. Like these are just things that because of how the world works, and it's kind of impossible to avoid them. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think when I saw it for the first time, I kind of knew, but I was still very impacted by it just because I am. Some people just aren't able to do this, and that's to each their own, I guess. But for me, I've become very good over the years at putting myself in the mindset when watching a movie of when did this come out and what was the context surrounding it. And so for me, even if I know something going into a movie, it's something even as big as that, it tends to not ruin it too much for me because if the movie's good enough and does its job, then I'm fairly good at just being able to sit and watch it and go, I'm in this moment right now and I don't know what's coming next. Even if I do, like kind of just forget about it and take it as it comes to me. So I don't remember exactly my reaction when I first saw it, but I'm fairly certain that I kind of watched it and was able to take it as it was intended, even if I kind of sort of knew what was going on, if that makes sense. But yeah, um, things like that are always tricky especially with big iconic movies like this. Um, let's see. Um, this is a funny one. E. Shepherd. I find myself quoting the one part of Kingdom from Raqqa more than I care to admit. I'm not. I don't know if I can accurately do it, but he goes horse. He makes. I'm not even gonna try to make the noise, but yeah, he does that. That's a funny scene. That's a great scene. I want to. Speaking of, I'm gonna be showing because I just said I showed my girlfriend Rise, Dawn, and War. We're gonna be watching Kingdom at some point in the future. But I'm excited to watch that because I just always love watching the movie. I think it's really fun watching Rocca's scenes just because we don't really have a character like him in the trilogy. Like you have Maurice who has comedic moments, but there's not like as much comedic relief. And I know some people don't like comedic relief, but I love that we have it in Kingdom. So I love all of Rocca's scenes. He has those little moments like that where and there's the other one. What's the other one that's really good? Um Nova, right. The where we all call them Nova. We don't know why. That's always a great Rocca moment for me. Um, let's see. Here's one. Not a scene, but a nice little story. Anton Masopust. Here's how I discovered the Planet of the Apes. When I was very young, my father and I liked animals, so he said to me, there is his movies where ape talk, and there is this movie where apes talk and they ride around on horses. Gotcha. Okay. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, I've talked about my discovery of the franchise with I discovered the franchise with my father too, so totally kind of relate in a way. Um, ooh, from Matt's, one second. Another scene that I really enjoyed from Kingdom was Noah kneeling next to his deceased father, Koro. This scene for me cemented Owen Teague as the next lead in the franchise. Yeah, um, that moment really is kind of the beginning of Noah's journey for sure. That's a great scene. I always get teared up. I always get emotional watching that moment. Have always said I wish we got more Koro leading up to it, but yeah, it's a great scene. Owen Teague is great. I'm very excited to see what he's able to do acting wise, whether in Planet of the Apes moving forward or even outside of that, because I just think he has a very he has very expressive eyes, very similar to Andy Serkis, that are they really pop, I think, on screen, and so that's really important for especially in these motion capture characters where the emotion and expressiveness has to come through. So, yeah, I think that moment for sure is great, and especially with where the way the music builds up and it kind of transitions into the next scene of him riding off on the horse and going through the tunnel and coming out on the other side and kind of going on his way. Just a really great moment in Kingdom for sure. Um, from Anton Masopust, do you collect the action figures? I do. No, I don't. I don't collect the action figures. You know, I always wonder about that kind of stuff because it seems really cool. I mean, truthfully, I don't really have any place to put stuff like that. Maybe at some point when I move into a bigger space, but no, I don't have any action figures. There have been some that I've seen that I've been curious, like, oh, maybe I should buy this. It's not too expensive, whatever. I know they make they're not action figures, but like the collectible, like mini statues or whatever you call them. What are they called? Hot toys. Um, Not statues. Yeah, I guess there are technically toys, but hot toys, like things like that. I know they make some for those, some they make some, and so those are very expensive, but no, I don't collect action figures or any sort of collectibles. Maybe one day, but for now, I'm kind of just focused on I want to collect more of the books, like I have the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes Firestorm book. I want to get the War one. I have the original novel. There's a couple others I'm looking at getting. But as far as like collecting stuff, that's kind of where my where it extends for me. From Christopher, speaking of Cornelia, I don't know why they cut her scenes in Rise that they showed in the trailers, obviously. Yeah, I don't, yeah, it's weird. There is a scene in the trailer, and I wish I talked about this in my deleted scenes video that I did for Rise, but yeah, it's only like a 1 second clip, but there's a clip in one of the trailers for Rise. I think it's like the final trailer, where you see Caesar and Cornelia like holding each other. And I think what was going to happen, and I might have talked about this at some point, but I think what was going to happen is the Gensis people were going to be taking Cornelia out of the enclosure and taking her for experimentation at Gensis. And so that was going to be kind of an additional subplot. And then later in the movie, when Caesar goes and breaks into Gensis, that's when he rescues her. They have their little moment. And so we see that relationship uh, build and, develop there. And unfortunately, that was just cut. I don't know the reason. My guess is just pacing and time, and maybe like they didn't have the budget to animate all that stuff. I have no idea, but that would be my guess, is something in that vicinity or something like that. But yeah, I don't know why they cut it. It's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. The casual Lego horse. I think I've seen your name before, and I just have to reiterate how much I love that name. What is your favorite scene from the newer trilogy? Mine is the bridge scene. Well, I've talked about it already, but my favorite scene is the scene where Caesar says no. I think that scene is just, it's phenomenal. It's perfect. As someone mentioned, it's an homage to Escape from the Planet of the Apes, and yeah, it's a really powerful, really iconic scene to me. And I could just I have already talked about it a million times and for a really long time, but I could keep talking about it forever. It's a phenomenal moment. The look on one of my favorite underrated parts of it is the look on Buck's face when no, Caesar says no. That's always really really funny. So yeah, really incredible scene. From See You Later Boy, Zero standing up for Taylor in the courtroom. That's a great scene. I'm glad someone brought up one of the courtroom scenes, or kind of similar scenes from the original. Hope we get another strong female ape character in later movies. I agree. I hope we do too. I think they're kind of positioning Suna to be that, potentially. Hopefully she is. We'll see. But I hope that she has a bigger role in the next two movies. But yeah, I totally agree. That scene is really, really great. I mean, Zero is one of my favorite characters of all time, and that scene is part of the reason why her just so that commitment she has to telling the truth, making sure the truth is what is prioritized. And I talked about a little bit about this in my video this week about the original novel. Even though I was talking about the book version of the character, that kind of translates into the movie. And yeah, the way she is so adamant to not let this go and not let Zaius just get his way and be able to hide everything and sweep everything under the rug. I really love the way she stands her ground and stands up for Taylor. So yeah, totally agree. It's a great scene, great dialogue between all the characters. And yeah, Zero is just, she kills it in that moment. From Justin Moore, I always loved the end of Kingdom. His silence and control was excellent. I want another movie starring him. I'm assuming by him you mean Noah, and if you mean Noah, then I totally agree. Yeah, he's great. I think he's really, really a character that I'm excited to follow for these next few movies. I know some people were a little underwhelmed by him, maybe just because it was, not Caesar. But for me, as someone who's at least seen the movie a handful of times now, I love this character. I love where we leave off with him at the end. He's a lot wiser. He's a lot more contemplative. He's a lot more, I think, interesting and compelling in a way. And so, yeah, really, really excited to see where Noah is brought going forward. From Matt's, Noah bonding with Eagle's son for the first time was also great. I think the music uplifted that scene. That's a great moment. That is a great moment from Kingdom. Uh, I really have grown to appreciate the Eagle stuff and that bond he has with them. That's part of the movie that didn't really connect with me much when I first saw it. But as with each watch I've seen it go, that moment where he's just sitting by himself, he's down in the dumps, kind of seemingly all is lost. He doesn't know what to do. And he has that connection with Eagle's son. Finally, it's finally built up to an earned, and it kind of wakes him up. It shocks him out of this state he's in. And yeah, I totally agree. It's a great moment. The music's great. John Paisano's score is really powerful in that moment. And so, yeah, I totally agree. Really, really solid scene that builds strongly into the rest of the movie and them going into the vault and wrapping the whole thing up. From E. Shepherd, horses with stripes. Quite striking. Rock is great. I love Rock so much. Um, From E. Shepherd, may be a little controversial, but I love battle, specifically the conversation between Roddy Caesar and his son. Well, I'm glad you love battle. I'm glad that there are people out there that love battle. All I'll say is for everyone watching our reactions when we post them later this year, if you are a fan of Battle for the Planet of the Apes, I'm sorry. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm sorry. Um, from Justin Moore, as a Transformer collector, it can be addictive. Me and my friends call it plastic. That's a great name. That's a great thing to call that. That's actually really funny. Wow. Yeah, but no, I don't. Yeah, again, don't collect any. But if I did, I might call it that too because that's a great name. Um, from See You Later Boy, it's nice to see how Caesar notices the Genesis tag on Cornelia's cage and then has that determined look locked in face. Yeah, yeah. That's why I think that's exactly what happened is that originally it was going to be more played up like he's going there partially to free Cornelia, and then that got cut out from the movie for one reason or another. But yeah, totally agree. That's probably part of it. Um, ooh, this is a great one. From Snappy Eater Insane 2, the moment Red slash Donkey sacrifices himself for Caesar is maybe the most cathartic and beautiful and thoughtful moment in the whole series that doesn't get enough attention. Totally agree. That's a great scene. It's really, really powerful for me. I love that character, Red. I think he is one of the highlights of War. I think he is just really, really great. He's a really compelling character. Um, he was in my, I think, top three or top two favorite gorilla characters when I did that video a while ago. And so, but yeah, that moment where you really think that he is just gone, and then finally at the very, very end, maybe a little too late, he finally makes a choice and he saves Caesar. It's really great. So yeah, and the music that plays from Michael Giacchino and that shot where just Caesar turns around and it's revealed and you see him holding the gun. It's really, really great. So yeah, totally agree. Awesome scene. From Christopher, for Dawn, I would say my personal favorite scene is Caesar versus Koba. Very Obi-Wan versus Anakin for Planet of the Apes. Yeah, I agree with that. It's very much a Anakin Obi-Wan type situation. I don't know if it's as like on that same level of iconography, but it's definitely in the ballpark. It is very much an Anakin Obi-Wan type scene. Yeah, those two characters, and when you just seeing the journey they go on, and then you finally getting to that moment and seeing them confront each other, it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking in a way, but it's really fun, and it's really kind of similar to that other scene. It's almost cathartic. You know, you finally just you want to see these two just have that confrontation, but it's really great. It's really, really great. And also my favorite part isn't even the fight. It's actually the lead up to the fight. It's the moment right before where Caesar and Koba are kind of like bad mouthing each other. He's like Koba weak or Caesar weak, Koba weaker. Like that little moment, and where Koba's like apes win war, apes together strong. All that stuff. I think all that build up to it is like it's really just Koba finally saying everything he wants to say and not holding back anymore. And I really, really like that about that moment. And then, of course, it leads to this iconic, or really, like just really intense, really memorable fight between the two. And so, yeah, I totally agree. Great scene. One of the highlights from Dawn for sure. From Planet of the Apes fan, I don't know if I'm late or not. No, you're not late. We're just hanging out here, everyone. So there's no like timer. You have to be on time or anything. But my favorite scene is when Caesar frees Buck because Buck was able to see what freedom and happiness was like for the first time in years for being stuck in that little cage. Yeah, that is a great scene. That is a great little moment. When you see Buck just run around. My favorite moment is actually in that scene is when he touches the grass. Pull this down for a second. When he kind of touches the grass for the first time, or whatever it is, I don't know if it's actual grass, but when he touches it and he just has that reaction, it's like, oh, this is what it feels like. He's like so startled by it, and then he just starts running around playing like a little baby chimp. I felt that I always really liked that moment because you think he's going to be this big, scary monster type creature, and then he just starts running around like a little, kind of like a little kid, just like never had this much freedom before, and it's almost sad, but it's actually really fun and it's really nice to see, and it's the beginning of my kind of love affair with that character. So yeah, it's a great moment for both Caesar and for Buck. From See You Later Boy. Oh my God, Buck jumping at the helicopter. Enough said. Yeah, enough said there for sure. That is. I mean, I've already said this about numerous other scenes, but that is one of my favorite moments from Rise. The whole. I mean, the entire battle on the sand on the Golden Gate Bridge, for me, that is just a scene, a great scene in and of itself. But that moment within that moment is epic, and I really love the emotional aspect of it. You know, it in some way I can understand why someone would see that shot of Buck in slow motion flying towards a helicopter as kind of goofy looking. And I think some people did back when the movie was first coming out. People thought it was a little silly, but excuse me. Um, but it works because you're emotionally attached to Buck and the relationship between him and Caesar, and it really pays off. And the ending of it is sad. It's really sucks that Buck dies in the end, but yeah, that moment where he takes down a helicopter and you just see the look in the two guys' eyes right before he makes it on, and he shoot the guy shooting at him, and then his eyes kind of just widen for a second, and then it just all goes down from there. It's great. It's great. R.I.P. Buck. From Kiki Aiza. I wonder if there are a lot of female fans of Planet of the Apes. I think the next movie will be more about the matriarchy revealed at the end of the last one. I don't know if it'll tap much into that. We'll see. But as for female fans of Planet of the Apes, I mean, I know people. I've literally talked to people that are women fans who really enjoy these movies, but like it's definitely a male skewing franchise. I mean, it just that's kind of just how things have always been with genre films, at least kind of sci-fi fantasy stuff. It's not really, it's unfortunate that that's the case. It's, very heavily, like I'd say it's like, 70-30 in a lot of cases for some of these franchises, but you know, that's why, people should just kind of expand their horizons. That's why there are other franchises and sorry guys, I can't talk today. There are other franchises and genres that are the opposite and that are very female skewing. So, it's just one of those things where Planet of the Apes just happens to be heavily male. But yeah, I mean, I've shown it to, like I said, I showed my girlfriend. She really enjoyed them, and I don't know if I consider her like a fan, but she would go and see the next one with me if it was coming out. My sister, when Kingdom came out, she went to see it, and she texted me. She said she really liked it, and then she went back and watched Rise, Dawn, and War. So yeah, there are absolutely females in the fan base. It's absolutely a fan base of both genders, but it's very much a male skewing franchise. I don't know if that'll ever change. I mean, they can introduce more female characters, and that'd be great. But there's only so much you can do at a certain point. So I don't know if that'll ever shift or it'll ever be more balanced. But it'd be great if it was. So we'll see. Um, Franco Oliveira. I'm not a fan of the movies. Well, I don't know what you're doing here, but thanks for coming. But I love the scene of Dawn with Caesar and Cornelia. There's a few scenes with them. I don't know which one you're talking about, but okay, cool. That's a great moment. Those are all nice moments between those two characters. Um, oh, this is a good scene. From See You Later Boy. I get so emotional when they get the lights and music back on, knowing that it'll end within 10 minutes because Kobe will attack the city. Yeah, that's a great scene. It's a really, really bittersweet scene, kind of in a way, because yeah, it's especially when you're watching it on, for a second or third time or multiple times, but um, the music turns on and they're all happy and it's really nice and they all get to spend time together and they're dancing and they're smiling and then you cut to seeing what's going on over with the humans in their building and they're all dancing and celebrating. They're so happy, but then the music kind of goes down and it's quiet and it's all very subdued and it's intercut with Gary Oldman looking at his family. Um, and then you have just, you see everyone celebrating, but then the music goes down and you know what's coming and you feel happy for all of them, but you also feel really sad because it's like, oh man, they're all finally able to be happy and live the life they, haven't been able to have for a decade. And it's only going to last, like you said, 10 minutes. So yeah, that's a great moment. That's a really great moment from Dawn. From Eat Shepherd, I absolutely love the scene in Dawn where Malcolm walks into the ape village for the first time. That's a good scene. Yeah, I like that moment where he's like, I need to speak to Caesar, and then the gorilla just rises from behind him. That I always really enjoyed that moment because, and then all the apes kind of form around him. That's a really, really great moment. And also, my favorite bit is really just the actual introduction of Caesar. Another thing I love about all these movies, but specifically Dawn and War, is the way that Caesar is like introduced in every scene. Like there is not a single scene in a lot of these. There's a lot of scenes in these movies where anytime Caesar shows up, he doesn't just show up. It's like built up to him showing. It's like the entrance of a king, and I really like that because it happens there where he needs to speak to Caesar. He's being held down by all these apes, and suddenly Caesar arrives slowly. He arrives over the rock, and he doesn't really say a lot. He just holds his fist up and he says, "Show me." And yeah, it's a really great moment. From See You Later Boy, Malcolm asking who was that one the video, who was that on the video, and Caesar says a good man. Part of me wishes he said my father. I could see that. I could see that. But he had to accept that wasn't totally true because of how different he was and never fit in. I mean, I could see it. I I'm fine with the way that it plays out. I think the line "a good man" is a little more fitting for the context of the scene and the world and who Caesar is at this point in his life, and also just who what his relationship with Will was. But if he'd said my father, I mean, I could see some people finding it a little weird or silly, but I would have been totally into it. But yeah, I think the way it is fine. Oh, this is a great one. From David Whitner. Koba taking over the tank. Great scene. Really, really great scene. One of the best one shots as far as action scenes that I've seen in any blockbuster movie. I think it's really well done. I love the way it's filmed. I love the just the even just like besides the fact that it's all done in one take, just the visual nature, just how it looks, the cinematography of it, it's really beautiful to look at. Just the fire going on all around, the constant chaos, the carnage, and the music playing, and just the act of seeing, Koba crawling up to it, pulling the guy out, crawling in, and then doing everything he does. It's all this one fluid thing. Really, really well done. Really chilling, and it just leads right into everything that goes on. With Koba taking over the humans, and so yeah, it's really, really a good scene. Really powerful moment for Koba. Um, God of Chaos. Got a question for you. Has there ever been an Apes movie you wanted to rewrite in some way just for fun? I'd either do Battle or Beneath. Yeah, Battle. Battle for sure. If I had to pick one, to be Battle. I've thought about doing this, and I'm not sure if I want to do it just because of how I personally feel about this kind of stuff, but I've thought about doing like a how I would have fixed video for Battle for the Planets, like how I would have written it, excuse me, how I would have fixed it to make it a better movie, make it a better ending. But and it's kind of hypocritical of me to say this, but like I'm not a big fan of like trying to rewrite someone else's movie. To me, it's one thing to critique something and say I thought this was good, I thought this was good, but I didn't like this, I didn't like this. I think this could have been done better, whatever. I think it's a totally different thing to go, they should have done this, they should have done that. This is how it should be, and I say so because, I think I'm better and smarter than the writers. Now, granted, you know, it's pretty universally accepted that that's the worst of the original five, and a lot of people don't like that movie and would agree that it needed fixing, but just from an artist perspective and from a creative point, I just I wrestle with whether or not I really want to do that. But if that's something you guys would be interested in, I might take a crack at it. I don't know how I would do it, like what I would. I don't know if I'd write like a full on treatment or what, but yeah, if that's something you guys would be interested in, maybe I'd take a look at doing something like that. But personally, I'm not 100% sure if I'd really want to commit to do that as a full video. But yeah, as far as just generally, in terms of if there was one I would want to rewrite, yeah, it'd be Battle. It's not even close. It would be Battle. Because, like, the thing is, there's only three movies in the franchise I don't love. That would be Beneath, Battle, and the 2001 movie. Beyond that, I love every other movie in the franchise. So if I were to rewrite Beneath, you couldn't really. There's nothing else. It wouldn't really, unless you would just not change the ending if the ending stayed the same. But if you rewrite Beneath too much, then it doesn't lead to Escape and Conquest, which I love those movies as they are. Whereas if you rewrite Battle, you just completely give it a new ending that's a lot more satisfying. And if I don't really need to rewrite the Tim Burton one because that one's kind of just a one and done, so who cares? So there you go. Oh, this is a great one from Manic Melon. One of the standout scenes for me is Caesar's speech in Conquest. Yeah, me too. That is one of my favorite scenes from the franchise. I think the performance from Roddy McDowall is really phenomenal in that scene. I don't know who was nominated for what that year in 1972 or 1973. But I know that things were just someone getting a performance for being in makeup is a thing that maybe didn't happen too often, but that is something that I wish had gotten some sort of awards recognition because I think Roddy McDowall, he's great throughout the whole movie, but that specific scene and that specific speech it's really powerful, and the anger and the rage that comes from him in that scene and in that performance is just it's unreal. It's unreal. It's the one time that I think he is giving probably not one time, but it's one of the times because overall I like Andy Serkis his Caesar better, but it's one of the few times where I go, I don't know, man. I think actually Roddy McDowall might have the edge. So, but yeah, I agree. It's a phenomenal scene. From Snappy Eater Insane 2. Also, if I'm being real, the Dr. Zaius trials in the first original film are so important to the heart and philosophy and message of these movies. Agree. Totally agree. That's when the movie really shows its brains. Totally agree. That's the kind of stuff that, as much as I love the new movies, I really, really want to get more of that kind of stuff. Like, I think, I'm not saying that the new movies have gone more like just generic blockbustery, but they're definitely made more to appeal to a modern audience, which is a bit more action heavy and a bit more blockbustery in tone. That's why I kind of even a movie as slow and dark and very dour like War still is more in line with a modern action blockbuster than something like the original where there's a lot more emphasis on the philosophy and the themes, and that stuff's still in the new movies, but it's not as prevalent and it's not as obvious. It's a bit more subtle, and so I would like to see some of that stuff brought back in the future. I think when you look at the End of Kingdom, and I've talked about this multiple times, but the End of Kingdom, that conversation between May and Noah, I think is a bit more of what I'm hoping to get throughout these movies. Having conversations like that where Noah asks May this really complex question when you break it down is like, what do you expect apes to do? Just go back to silence? Which is very kind of when you kind of analyze what that could really mean in a contemporary um, parallel, you could look at that as, some sort of um, what's the word I'm looking for? Like just any sort of group who's been oppressed in any sort of way, finally getting freedom and then going, well, what are we supposed to do? Just go back to the way things were? Like, no, we're not doing that. And so I think that scene is kind of the first step in moving towards more conversations like that we should get more throughout the series. We get bits and pieces of that stuff throughout the Caesar trilogy, but I'd love to see more of that. And so that conversation was the first time in these new movies, maybe not the first time, but one of the few times in these new movies where I've been reminded of those very interesting, complex philosophical conversations, and I want to see more of that. So yeah, I totally agree. I think that the trial scenes in the original movie are just very much they're very important to that kind of element of Planet of the Apes, and so I want to see more of that in the future. From See You Later Born, my love for Planet of the Apes is heavily fueled by me being a massive animal lover. Me too, actually. Maybe not. Maybe that's not like the core reason, but I'm a big animal lover. I have a dog who's somewhere over there. There he is over there. Um, and yeah, I'm a big animal lover too. So and apes are just my favorite creature, my favorite animal. Whether it's chimps, gorillas, orangutans, um, or even gibbons or capuchins, like any sort of monkey or ape creature. I'm all over them. I think they're just adorable. They're fascinating. Maybe it's partly because they're like the closest to us in terms of DNA, but and just it just makes them interesting to me. But yeah, I yeah, totally agree. I think that's a big part of why I love this franchise and a lot of the characters in it so much. From Christopher, I would like to see in the next one, if possible, just like with 28 Days films and Mad Max films go, or Mad Max films go to other continents to see what the other apes are doing on the other continents. Totally agree. I want to see that too. When I talked to Wes Ball, I don't remember if it was during one of my interviews with him or during the live watch of Kingdom, but something I'd mentioned to him was like, could we see other tribes, other parts of the country, or even other countries. And he said, yeah, it's something he would love to explore. So I hope that that's something that we get to see. I'd love to get to meet a new tribe, or even multiple new tribes. I love kind of like what the Avatar movies are doing. You meet the Water tribe in the second movie. Now you're meeting the Ash tribe in the third movie. And so I'd hope they do something like that. I don't want them to actually do like water and fire and all the elements, kind of ripping off Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I want them to explore other parts of the world and I want them to meet other apes and see what they're doing. Are they as evolved as Noah's apes? Are they more evolved? Are they more similar to like the primitive apes of Caesar's age? Or are they like super beyond evolved, kind of similar to almost like the original films or even in the book? So I would love to see what's going on with apes all over the world. So I totally agree. That would be really cool. I don't know what's going to happen because obviously we still don't even know what the next movie's called, let alone when it's coming out. Or, I hate to even say this, but if it's coming for sure. But, we'll see. We'll see. I'd love to see what they're going to do in terms of exploring other apes in the world. Um, From Christopher, my personal favorite scene from War is the death of Winter. That's a sad scene. That's a really sad scene. My only critique of that scene, and it's not even really a critique of the scene, but it's a critique of more just the movie in general, is that there's a scene where or not I'm sorry, I completely misread that as Luca, not Winter. Sorry. Well then if in that case, that's a Winter. Yeah, so that's okay, that's a great scene too. Yeah, that's a good scene too. And what I like about that scene, not so much to do with Winter, but it's the first step in Caesar's. Maybe the second step. I guess the first step is his wife and son being killed, but it's kind of the first major step in Caesar going down this dark path that we see him throughout the movie. It's him accidentally killing one of what was once his friends. One was one of his own because he is so hell bent on getting to the colonel that he doesn't care. And so I think that scene is really great, and it's a great moment that leads into Caesar's entire arc there. So totally agree. Really good scene. From See You Later Board, Rocket being a distraction to let Nova escape, then gets himself roughed up to get thrown inside, and then instantly asks Caesar, feeling better, okay, now let's just bust out of here. Yeah, that's a great moment. I really like that moment. That's War is where I think Caesar and Rocket get to have their most like kind of bro moments, like their best friends, like really finally having a bit of a payoff. And so that is one of those moments I think is really good for that. And so I really like, and also just shows kind of the ride or die side of Rocket, where he is willing to go in there and he might get killed. He has no idea what's going to happen, but he's going in there to do it, cause a distraction to help out Caesar and help out Nova. And so it's a great moment for Rocca, a great moment for Caesar. Overall, just agree, totally a good scene for sure. From Kiki Aiza, Battle has a great ending. Tragic, beautiful, realistic. It leaves with the question, will history repeat itself? I agree. I actually, look, I've talked about Battle a million times and how much I can't stand that movie. I really can't. But the ending is great. The ending is actually really good. The ending scene just leaves you with that question of, and it really taps into a lot of what Planet of the Apes is about. And part of what is so great about that scene is that it brings it full circle. It leaves the series on one of those really complex conversation notes of, can humans survive, or are they destined to, or not survive? Can humans and apes live side by side, or are they destined to do this forever? And so, yeah, it's a great ending to a movie that I wish was better, but it is a great ending nonetheless. So, totally agree. From Manic Melon, probably my favorite ape scene ever is the donkey sacrifice. Yeah, that I talked about that earlier, but that's a really strong scene, really a powerful moment for Red, brings him full circle. Great moment for Caesar as well. So yeah, it's a really awesome scene. From King Dragon Sombra, do you want to see new stuff like hybrid apes, for example, chimpanzee, gorillas, hybrid, and orangutan bonobo hybrid, or see the mutants from beneath the Planet of the Apes be rebooted and reintroduced? So for the first part of the question, I mean, sure. I don't know why not. I don't think I've ever even thought about this, to be honest, which I don't know why I would. I don't really think about the mating habits of apes that often, but I don't know if gorillas and chimps, or chimps and orangutans, or gorillas and orangutans, or what have you, I don't know if they can or do ever get together and make like hybrid apes. Someone could tell me, someone who knows better about this stuff than I do, but I don't know if that happens in real life. I doubt it, but if it does in real life, then I don't know why you couldn't see it in the movies, and if not, then I guess you could. I mean, I don't see any reason why you couldn't. I mean, I don't know. Sure, I'd be fine with it. I wouldn't really be. I don't think it would be like any sort of like revelation other than just expanding the world of Planet of the Apes. But yeah, I'd be fine with it, I guess. As far as seeing the mutants be rebooted and introduced in a new way in the franchise, I don't know. I've gone back and forth on this so many times. I've even talked about it in a video. I think I talked about how the ending of a kingdom could potentially set up the mutants at some point in the future, maybe like in the next trilogy or the end of this trilogy. I don't know. But yeah, I think there's a way to do it. I mean, there's really a way to do anything in a franchise like this, but it just depends on the take. It depends on the execution. It depends on what the story is going forward. Like how heavily is it going to be featured? Like, is this going to be a major part of the franchise going forward, or is this going to be just a little thing that is, you know, introduced and then done away with, like was done in Beneath? Like Beneath, we met the mutants 50 minutes into the movie, and then by the end of the movie, they're all dead, and then we never see them again until Battle. So I don't really know how you would introduce them. I don't know if they should introduce them. As for what I personally want to see it, again, depends on the take, but if they have a good take that's interesting, that works within the context of how everything works now, then yeah, I'm totally on board with bringing back the mutants in some way. From King Dragon Sombra, who's your favorite background, but at the same time side character? Because mine is Spear from War. So first, I'm gonna look who up. Look up. This shows how I don't pay attention to like the small background characters that much because I don't know if I know who that is. I think I might know who it is if I'm thinking of the right ape. Um, Let me think. Let me see. Um, no, he is not the character who I'm thinking of, but he is not far off. There's another character. I don't know what his name is, but he's the chimp or bonobo. I don't know. I don't know, but he's the one who has like he almost has like he has like a little tuft of hair on top of his head. I don't know what his name is, but I've always liked him. I've always thought he was pretty cool. At least just from design wise. But yeah, I don't I gotta find his name. Hold on, let me see if I can find what's his name? Um he's like I think he's like one of Koba's buddies in Dawn too. I can't find it. I don't know what his name is, but if you've seen the movies, I think you probably know who I'm talking about. So, but yeah, if I had to pick someone, it's probably him. From Mars SpaceX, my favorite scene from the original movie has to be the trial. Seeing a movie grapple with religion, science, and what we think are conscious beings when things are reversed, it makes you think. Totally agree. Yeah, 100% agree. That is, I mean, I've talked at nauseum about like all the themes and what I love about Planet of the Apes, but the original movie, like a blockbuster sci-fi movie that deals so heavily with the morals and the ethics of religion and science and how it all works together, and especially like in terms of the political side of things and how all that works. And so I love all that stuff, especially during the trial scene. I think it's great. So yeah, I already kind of talked a bit about that, but yeah, totally agree. That is some of my favorite stuff from the originals, for sure. From Snappy Eater Insane 2. Also, I find the final scene of Dawn being a beautiful moment. The sun rising on the apes as the human slowly backs away into the darkness. Yeah, that is a great, I think visually, and this is what makes Matt Reeves such a great visual storyteller, um, is that he really just is able to convey everything that's going on emotionally with the characters, but without anyone even saying anything, and kind of also just what's going on thematically in at this point in the world. Like you can really tell that this is the end point of um this part of the human and ape journey, right? Like at this point of the this in the story, um the apes and the humans are no longer on in a place where they can be at peace, and now is the time for war. And so I think the human going into the darkness while the apes kind of stand together, and the sun starts to set, it's kind of symbolic of that. And so that part of that is what I really always admired about it. All right, hold on, I lost my spot here. um oh, there it is. Okay. And oh, okay. Am I lagging? No. Okay, I don't think I'm lagging. Thought I was lagging for a second. Seems like it's fine now. Okay. From Primordial Woodland, best scene is when they are talking about the scriptures and humans being described in the same way humans have described wolves. Yeah. If you're talking about the original movie, and when Cornelius, or I think that's what you're talking about. Are you talking about like the scene in the original movie where Cornelius is reading off the scripture? If that's what you're talking about, yeah, that's a good movie. That's a good scene. That's definitely one of my favorites for sure. Um, let's see. From again from Primordial Woodland, I want to see gibbons. Gorillas and chimps cannot hybridize. They are completely different. Hold on. Can I? Why is this? Sorry, guys. I'm lagging again for some reason, like I did last week, and I'm trying to figure out if I can stop that from happening. Hold on. Um, will this fix it? Let's see. Let's see if this fixes it. It seems better. Hold on. Okay. I think I'm back. Okay. I think we're good. Everything seems stable now. Nothing's freezing. Nothing's not working. So I think we're good. Okay. Where was I? All right. So from Matt's, I frankly don't want to see any hybrid apes, but I don't mind bringing the mutants back. Yeah, I can see it. I don't. I personally don't really the hybrid ape thing. I don't think it would be that big a deal. I think it would just be like a new ape of some kind. But yeah. Uh, as far as bringing the mutants back, like I said, if they could find a creative way to do it, I'm all for it. Yeah, I totally agree with this comment. Snappy Eater Insane too. If they bring back the mutants, they have to do it in a really smart way that actually feels organic. Yeah, I agree. And that's my biggest concern is that like there's very few things in the current story where I would go, yeah, that feels like the mutants could come in at any moment now. It feels like the mutants are we're in a place where the mutants could come in way later, but I don't see it happening in the next movie or even the one after that. If it happens, it'll be in trilogy number three, um, if and when that happens. So yeah, it definitely has to feel organic. It has to fit. And people have suggested this to me, but instead of it being mutants that are created due to um, nuclear radiation, it would be more to do with the virus. It would be kind of an ALZ derived type of mutant. So if that's the way they go, then yeah, I'm all for it. I think it could work, but if there's another way they could do it, I'd be cool with that too, as long as it just has to make sense. At the end of the day, it just has to make sense. Because if it feels like a scene kind of like in Beneath where it just comes out of nowhere and it's crazy, I admire Beneath for some of its craziness, but that it reality wise, it's just kind of out of nowhere. Um, and so I think audiences today would just not react well to that. So you have to do it in a way where it feels natural and it feels like something that fits into this world and into this story. So, um, from Mars SpaceX, I would like to see an apes movie where they have become more advanced and you have the two species in like a Cold War scenario. Yeah, I'd be cool with that. You know, let's see, they become more advanced. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they would do that because where they are on the timeline. So if they do that, it would probably not to be like way later or maybe like movie number three, but it just depends on how advanced you're talking, really. But yeah, that'd be cool. From Hannah Louise, Dawn, a beautiful ending scene of Caesar and Malcolm. There's something about it. The sun shining in. It's so pure, so beautiful. Also, the scene of Caesar looking at the old tapes of him and Will. Yeah, but we've talked about both already. But yeah, both fantastic scenes. I love that ending of Dawn. It's really, really powerful. And it, sets you up well for everything that's about to go down in war. So yeah, and yeah, the scene of Caesar and Will, really, 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 really well done. From Dano Hasho, is it Stone? He was Koba's buddy. If that might be the name of the character, I'm gonna look him up right now, and if it is, I will let you know. Let's find out. I think yes, yes, Stone is the name of the character I'm thinking of. That is my favorite background slash side ape character. He's cool. I really like him in the movies. He's always fun. Thank you. I did not know his name, and now I do. Um, oh, lost my spot again. There it is. Okay. From Manic Melon, Caesar stands up for the apes in war. Yeah, we I talked about that one earlier, but yeah, that's another great one for sure. Another great moment for Caesar, and like someone mentioned, is the moment where the apes kind of get behind him again after kind of falling out of favor with him after everything they went through. But yeah, great scene. Um, oh, I got a super chat from Hannah Louise who just sends a $2 super chat of support. Thank you. Really, really appreciate that very much. Thank you. Um, from God of Chaos, while I don't think the movies would ever have done a crossover, and I'm not huge on it, I always thought a King Kong Planet of the Apes original series movie could have been cool. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think honestly, it would work better today than the original series just because of the technology of the time. I don't know how well it would be able to be integrate. The two would integrate together visually back then. I mean, just for the novelty of it would be really cool. But if there were to ever be a King Kong Planet of the Apes crossover, which correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there a comic book that does this? Someone can let me know in the chat. I think there's a King Kong Planet of the Apes comic book. I might be wrong, but if not, then that would be a place to do it. Um, yeah, someone just commented there was a King Kong Planet of the Apes comic book. So yeah, that would be cool to check out. It might be something I do I read for the channel at some point. But as a movie, I don't know if I'd ever want to see that. To be honest, I like King Kong, I love Planet of the Apes. I don't know if I want to see them together on screen, but that's just me. From See You Later Boy. Do you think Planet of the Apes tackles too many themes? Animal rights, species oppression, medical experimentation, trying to control nature, uh, youth, authority figures covering up the truth, nuclear war, just naming a few. You are just naming a few because you didn't even, there's still like half a dozen that they're explores. No, I wouldn't say too many because the thing is, not all of these things are explored in every movie. I think each movie has its own crop of stuff that it's talking about, and it's doing it in a different way every time. That's relatable to the story that they're telling, and so you know, I'm all for them continuing to explore themes. That's part of what makes Planet of the Apes Planet of the Apes. It's part of what makes it stand out from so many other franchises. Is that it's very allegorical. It's very much a mirror of our society in a way, and you can say the same about some other franchises, but I think Planet of the Apes is very much intended for that specifically. So no, I don't think too many at all. Follow-up comment. Personally, I think it touches on multiple themes really well. I just wonder if others might think it's just a lot to take in, but it's part of why I love the franchise. There's so much to discuss. Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. It's part of why I love the franchise, and it just gives you a lot to discuss. So yeah, for sure. Um, from Snappy Eater Insane to anytime a character says I'm saving our race right before doing something violent or unethical, always a great scene. Yeah. The moment in Dawn when um what is Gary Oldman's name? I don't remember his name, but when Gary Oldman's character Dreyfus, when Dreyfus he's like I'm saving the human race, followed by him destroying and killing a bunch of other people slash apes, like yeah, you're being a hypocrite right there, and you're also killing four of your own. So um but yeah, I totally agree. It's it goes in like we were just talking about with themes. It's part of the themes of Planet of the Apes that it's exploring is the hubris of man, and our we are our own downfall in a way, and that's part of the reason why. Um, from E Shepherd, I think it would be almost criminal not to mention the Colonel's monologue where he talks about killing his son. Totally agree. I was hoping someone would bring this up because this is one of my favorites. Woody Harrelson's delivery both horrified me and also I couldn't look away. I 100% agree. Like I said, I was rewatching these movies recently, and when we got to that scene, like, and I say this happens to me every time I watch it, but this time specifically because it was the first time in a while that I've really just sat and intently watched it, not been on my phone, not anything else, just really watched it. And you cannot take your eyes off Woody Harrelson in that scene. He is so magnetic. He's chilling. He is scary. He is like his humanity is gone, and it's really impressive the performance he puts into that scene. I know that maybe I don't know when it was. Maybe it was like 3 years ago or something. But he at some point said he really didn't like his performance in that movie. I don't know why. I don't remember what the exact comment was, but I really love him in that scene. I love him in the movie, but I love him in that scene. And following up that, the to me even more powerful, what kind of really wraps it all up is Caesar's reaction when he says, when Caesar or when the colonel says, "I didn't mean to kill your son, but if his destiny was to inherit your unholy kingdom, then I'm glad I did it." And then Caesar just on like he almost killed. He lunges and reacts in like this really fit of rage. And I think that kind of puts a really sadistic, sad, tragic bow on the whole scene. And so yeah, I think that whole scene, Woody Harrelson's performance is just it's so good. Woody Harrelson's a phenomenal actor. Um, but yeah, totally agree. Awesome scene. From David Whitner, Eric Green delivered a deep dive into the parallels between the original films and the civil rights movement, Planet of the Apes as American myth. Planet of the Apes as American myth. I'm going to look that up right now. Planet of the Apes as American myth. Book by Eric Green. Huh. I've never heard of this. Interesting. I'm going to, you know what? I might. Let me take a look. How much is it on? I might. I might buy this and I might give it a read. Thank you for the recommendation. Interesting. I really want to check that out. Thank you. Um, from Marspace X, I always wanted to see what happened after the end of Planet of the Apes 2001. The ending was great, and I wanted to see the sequel set in that world. Well, agree to disagree with you on that one, with the ending being great. I thought the ending was silly and nonsensical. But it would have been cool to see what happened after that. It would have been at least interesting, probably. I've actually, and again, as always, you guys can let me know if you want to see this. But a video I want to do, and I've almost done it a few times, and then just decided I'm gonna save it for later, is exploring what a sequel to the 2001 movie would or could have been. That's something I've always wanted to do, maybe, but I just don't know what it could be. Like, I don't really know what angle I would take on it. So if that's something you guys would be interested in, that's something I might do. But yeah, how I don't really know where you could have gone beyond that. I mean, obviously, it would have been set in this new Earth that Leo comes back to, but I don't know what the story would have been. You wouldn't really have any of the characters from the first one. None of the actors would be able to come back unless you brought them back as new characters. So I don't know what you would have done. But, you know, again, if that's a topic of conversation you guys want me to cover, then maybe I'll do that at some point. Oh, I hope this one doesn't get me in trouble, but I'm pulling it up anyway because why not? Manic Melon, non-ape question, but do you like the way they handle Luke in The Last Jedi? Well, yes, I do. I do. I really do. I know a lot of people hate it, and I get it. I get it. But for me, that version of Luke Skywalker is really powerful, and I think it's something that it's the kind of character development that I didn't know I wanted. And some people have a problem with it. Some people really hate seeing that character in that position, acting the way he does, doing the things he does. But for me, it's a lot more realistic for someone to become that jaded and become a lot more human. And for me personally, that's just what I want. That's what I resonate with. I would rather see a character that is so powerful become more human rather than just become more and more powerful and become kind of like just, you know, Gandalf with a lightsaber. And so I really resonate with that version of Luke. I know people don't. I know a lot of people hate that movie, and that's totally okay. It's totally okay if you don't like that movie. You don't care if you don't like Luke in that movie. I get it. He's not for everybody. It angers a lot of people. Not everyone wants to see their favorite hero brought down to a level like that. And some people have more issues with just the way it's done. They don't think it makes sense. They don't think it's written in a way that it makes sense. Some people are okay with the idea, but they don't like the execution, and that's totally fine too. But for me, it worked. I love that character, and it made him an even stronger character for me. And I loved how they sent him off. So yeah, um, but yeah, I know that's kind of a hot button issue among Star Wars fans, but that's just how I feel. So there you go. From Snappy Eater Insane to perhaps Trilogy 2 will end with a setup for the mutants, and then in Trilogy 3 we time skip forward and see the mutants then fully realized. Um, the thing is, like, I don't know if they're gonna do that because if they do the mutants, I don't know how big of a role they're gonna play. Because if you set them up in the end of this trilogy and then you pay them off in a trilogy that takes place hundreds of years later again, like what is like you'd have to be planning, I think, really far ahead, and I don't know if they're gonna be doing that. Like I feel like they're kind of taking this one trilogy at a time. But if they were to do something like that, I would just hope that they aren't planning on suddenly making the third trilogy like very mutant heavy. I know some people would be into that, but personally, I would rather just stay very ape focused, with some humans and some mutants in there. But I want it to stay as ape focused as possible. From King Dragon Sombra, my favorite scene in Dawn is Koba confronting Caesar, saying he likes humans more than apes and more than your sons. That's a good scene. It's a great scene for Koba. I think it's the first domino really to fall, maybe like one of the first real dominoes to fall between the relationship of Caesar and Koba, because prior to that, you had Koba kind of lashing out, having the human work scene, which I don't know how nobody's brought that scene up, by the way, because that's one of my favorites in Dawn, where he goes human work, human work, human work, human work. Um, but yeah, that scene happens, and then later you have this scene happen, which is kind of the next big domino to fall with the breakdown of brotherhood between Caesar and Koba, and it's really great. And that fight that happens between them is really intense. I actually think that fight is almost more intense than the fight at the end of the movie, which is a bit more kind of big and blockbustery, whereas that fight is very like brutal. But yeah, it's really really great. And the fact that Caesar would say that, or Koba would say that to Caesar, and the reaction it elicits from him, it's really intense stuff. Um, from Christopher, my personal favorite scene from Kingdom is the first introduction to Raka and his death. Very tearjerker and feels like the equivalent of Brachio death scene from from the Brachiosaurus death scene from Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Also, um, his his that in the trailer. I don't know what you mean by that. But yeah, I think Rocka's introduction scene where he meets Noah for the first time, that's a really great moment. And yeah, his death is great. I don't know if it's really a death, but it's his, send off in the movie, if you will. But yeah, both are great scenes. Both are really great moments for Rocka, and I don't think it's his death, but it's a great moment for the character and for Noah as well. Um, from Hannah Lewis, also, what's your take on the lack of news about Kingdom sequel? Apparently, they're still planning a 2027 release, but so I will be doing a full video on this that will be out. When's it going to be out? Not so this week is actually I didn't post this on the channel yet, and I already announced it a couple weeks ago, but this week, so my review for the animated series is going to be coming out at the end of this week. No video next week, and then the following week I'm going to be doing a video talking about the Kingdom sequel, and what kind of my new kind of expectations for, and what's going on with it, and kind of the update on my thoughts on the lack of news and everything. But just in general, I wouldn't say I'm nervous, but I will say that I think a 2027 release is looking less and less likely by the day. I would say that Westball directing it is just not something I think is going to happen, just because he seems very entrenched in Zelda right now. I think that's something that's going to take a long time. And the other thing that I haven't really talked about in regards to this, and I'm going to talk a lot more about this in my video, is there's a lot of stuff going on in Hollywood right now. Things are changing in terms of how the film industry works. Things are changing in terms of what makes money, what doesn't, and how much should things be spent, or how much should be spent on certain things and certain other things. And so I think a lot of the studios right now are kind of in a we need to hit pause and evaluate everything mode right now, before we go forward. And I think a movie like Planet of the Apes is one of those things where they need to look at it and go, we need to really pay attention to how much is this next movie going to make, and how much can we spend on it, and not worry about it, barely breaking even, or only doing well, or doing well but then doing much better on streaming later on. Like, these are new things they have to take into consideration that they didn't really have to take into consideration when they were making Rise, Dawn, and War. And so everything is in kind of flux right now when it comes to the world of theatrical releases, and what's going to streaming, what's going to theaters, and how much is being spent, and what is a success and what isn't a success. So I think that's probably playing a big part in it, in them figuring out what they actually want to do, and when they want to do it, and who they want to do it with, and how much they want to spend on it. So we'll see. But like I said, I have a more of a kind of in-depth, detailed breakdown of all this stuff I'm going to be doing in a few weeks. So you can hear all my more detailed thoughts then. Um, this is always a great one. From See You Later Boy. Silly one, but always give some love to bad apes. Oh no. That scene's it's so good. Steve Zahn is a treasure. He really is. I think that moment, I love that it became a meme for a while, a very popular meme, only just because it's a popular Planet of the Apes thing that people were. I mean, I'd see that meme everywhere, and then I'd read comments and be like, "What's this movie from?" It's like it's more for the Planet of the Apes. People watch more Planet of the Apes stuff. So, but yeah, that's a great scene. Bad Ape is great. He's one of the best parts of War. I love him. He's really funny. Um, from Snappy Eater Insane 2, as I think a response to what we were talking about earlier with the themes. Planet of the Apes totally does not cover too many themes. It covers a lot of themes, but usually does it well. I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. It covers a lot of themes. and it kind of picks and chooses which. I think it has like there's like a big kind of rotating circle of themes. And, each movie kind of picks like three or four of them to really hone in on. Um, but yeah, it's not like every movie is tackling like 12 different things at a time. So yeah, I don't think it has too many for sure. From Manic Melon, an awesome scene is the last scene in Rise. If you're talking about like the final scene between Will and Caesar, where he's like Caesar is home, yeah, that's an awesome scene. That is a really awesome scene. It's an awesome ending. It's an awesome ending for Rise. Um, so yeah, totally agree. Also, I just love the moment where Caesar whispers into Will's ear, "Caesar is home," and you see Will's reaction. It's really, really great. It's really funny. It's funny in a way, but it's also just it's cool because he has that like, oh, oh, I didn't know you could do this, but also kind of just quickly accepts it. And it's like, okay, I get what's going on here, and there's that. So yeah, but yeah, it's a great final scene between the two characters. Let's see, what's another one I could bring up here? Um, Oh, here's a great one. Shield Star. When Caesar and Maurice talked before he passes away, it's so emotional and heartbreaking. And Maurice speaking was great. And how he told Caesar that his son will know his story. Great scene. Yep, that's a really great scene. And what I love about it is that they saved Maurice talking for this scene. Like he says run once in Dawn, but that's the only time he speaks. Up to this moment, he finally has a full like sentence. He actually speaks in full, complete sentences, and I love that they saved it for his final scene with Caesar. I love that they saved it for Caesar's death. I think it makes a lot of sense for the story, for the characters, and their relationship. So, I love that it feels like a payoff, and it's a really powerful payoff. And I think Maurice's dialogue there is great. I think Karen Knobel's voice work is great there. And so, yeah, it's a really powerful final moment between those two characters for sure. Um, from See You Later, Boy, Josh, would you get a Planet of the Apes tattoo? I have the window symbol on my arm and I love it so much. Yeah, I would probably get one. I don't know what I want to get. There's actually I've slowly, this is something I've been working on for like the last 2 years, but there's a tattoo I'm trying to put together of like just an overall film reel tattoo with like a handful of my favorite movies or favorite like just franchises, and it would probably include Planet of the some sort of reference to Planet of the Apes. Um, but I don't know what it's going to be yet. I've thought about maybe just doing what you did and getting the window symbol, um, which is really cool. That's a really cool tattoo design. But I don't know what I'd want. I feel like I'd want something that's a little more all encompassing of like not just the modern franchise but also the old franchise. But then again, my logo for this channel is the window symbol, so there's that too. So I don't know. But yeah, I don't know what I would get. I don't really know what I would get. But yeah, I would definitely get a Planet of the Apes tattoo at some point in some way. So um when here's a good one from Snappy Eater Insane 2. When slash if they finally return to the original film's timeline, do you want to see it from the human perspective or from the apes perspective? I think that's really the only point in doing it. If you're gonna come full circle and not reconnect, but kind of retell that type of story in that part of the timeline, I think there's the only reason you would do it is to do it from the apes' perspective. If we're just going to do it again from the humans' perspective, there's not really a point because we've already seen that. Even if you've never seen the original movies, you can go watch them. But I think it would be much more interesting and purposeful if they were to do that and tell that story, but from the apes' point of view. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Um, this is always a good one. From See You Later Boy, when Zira and Cornelius get to go shopping and hang out in the modern world, it's always fun. I love the music that plays in that scene too. It's really fun. It's like this kind of like day in the life, like just these two characters that up until now you've only seen in very serious situations. They just kind of get to have a chance to like be cool and live a fun life and have like a fun time and be happy. It's really cool. And I love the, like I said, I love the music in that scene. And yeah, I love the moments where you get to see Caesar, or not Caesar, Cornelius and Zira trying on different outfits. I love the moment when Zira is having all the women model stuff for her, and she's like, no, no, oh, I like that one. So yeah, I really like that stuff. And also, you can probably count on one hand how many happy slash nice moments are in all these movies. Yeah, I agree, and that's absolutely one of them. Um, you know what? I'm not gonna. You know what? Fine. There's another non-ape related question, but I'll bring it up because I actually have a hot take on this one. Um, Manic Melon, hot take: the best Iron Man movie is three. I don't totally disagree, actually. I love Iron Man 3. I know most people hate it. Maybe not hate it, but a lot of people hated it when it came out, and it's not that well loved, but I really like Iron Man 3. I think the first one is still my favorite, but 3 is really good. I think it's a lot of fun. I love Shane Black, so I think it's a really fun movie. Um, and because it's following it up, I will answer this one too, even though it's a non-ape related question. And also, sorry if you can hear my dog sneezing and shaking around in the back, but he's having his little allergy meltdown right now. Um, Non-ape question from Snappy Eater Insane 2. But have you seen the show The Studio? Really wonderful show that also has a lot to say about the state of Hollywood and the people running it. Yeah, I've seen The Studio. It's really good. If you guys haven't watched it, watch it. It's hilarious. I love Seth Rogen. He does a great job in it. The show is really well written. From what I've heard, it's actually very accurate to like the way that Hollywood executives really run and think and operate. So I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest just because of how chaotic it is. So yeah, I love the studio. It's a really, really good show. I hope they do a season two. I don't know if they are, but it's a really good show. From Sal Skelicki, if Wes Ball doesn't direct and can only produce, I could see Gareth Edwards possibly stepping in to direct. I would be all for Gareth Edwards doing it. I think Gareth Edwards would do a good job. I know some people aren't a big fan of him, but I think he would do a good job. I mentioned him in my directors who I would like to see a Planet of the Apes do a Planet of the Apes movie video a long time ago, and he was one of the top choices I had. Personally, if I there's one person now that I think would be perfect, and that is the guy who's doing Prey, or not Prey, the guy who did Prey, and he's doing Predator Badlands, and he did 10 Cloverfield Lane. I don't remember his name, but he's who I would want. He's my number one choice to step in and do Planet of the Apes. Oh, oh, um, I'm forgetting his name though. Dan Trachtenberg, that's his name. But yeah, if there's one director I would want, it would be Dan Trachtenberg. But Gareth Edwards would also be a really, really great choice. Um, um, let's see. I lost my spot again. Sorry, guys. Um, oh, there we go. From Manic Melon, I would love a Planet of the Apes movie from Steven Spielberg. Me too. I'd be all for it. I don't. There's no way he would ever do it, just because I don't think he was the type of filmmaker that would want to work with like performance capture main characters. Among like a million other reasons he wouldn't do it, but I don't think he would ever do it. I'd be all for it because he's one of the best. But yeah, that's not gonna happen. Um, from See You Later Boy, I love how in the beginning of Dawn, Maurice tells Caesar he didn't know them like you did, referring to humans so then he makes the effort to get to know Alex. Them reading together is so nice. Yeah, I like that scene too. That's a really underrated moment in Dawn of Alex and Maurice reading together, reading the book. Really, really nice, cool, really cool, tender moment for Maurice. From E. Shepherd, do you read Planet of the Apes fan fiction? No, I don't. I've had some people. I think someone asked about this in the Discord not too long ago, and I don't think I responded. So sorry if I forgot to respond to this. But someone asked about if I would ever do like Planet of the Apes fan fiction videos, and the answer is no. Truthfully, and maybe this will upset some people, but fan fiction just generally isn't something that interests me. I think fan edits, like I talked about the fan edit that I made or not made, that I watched. Um, when was it? When did I do that video? I think back in June. I did the video talking about Saga of the Planet of the Apes, that fan edit of the original Planet of the Apes movies. I like stuff like that, but full on fan fiction, like fans like going in and writing their own original stories. I'm not saying fans can't write great stories. It's just I'm personally just not that interested in them, unless they're like professionally hired. But yeah, or even if it's like for something small, like those what are those the short films that were for Dawn that I did a video on. But like those are technically fan fiction, but they were kind of officially made into or officially highlighted by the studio. So stuff like that I might be interested in, but in general, no, fan fiction just doesn't really appeal to me. But I don't know. But again, like if you're someone who loves fan fiction, that's awesome. I'm not like knocking it or anything. It's just not really something that appeals to me, really. But that's just me. Um, Christopher, what do you think of Caesar himself directing the next one if Westball isn't able to, since he directed Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle, also playing Baloo the Bear? So I don't. Well, first things first, I don't think Andy Serkis is would be able to because right now he's directing the new Lord of the Rings movie, The Hunt for Gollum, and that comes out in fall or December of 2027. So he's going to be busy until at least the end of 2027. So if you're going to get a new director, it's got to be someone who's free at some point next year, and that's not going to be him. So that's just not happening. He's also working on Animal Farm right now. I don't know if that's done or he's still working on it, but that's something he's doing too. The other thing is, and this might be an unpopular opinion with Planet of the Apes fans, so bear with me, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't think Andy Serkis is a great director. I just don't. I think he's a phenomenal actor, and he seems like an incredible guy. But as a director, I just have not really been impressed with what I've seen of his. I didn't really care for his Mowgli movie. I thought it was really underwhelming. Acting wise, he was good in it, but as a director, I just didn't think it was that well made. Um, there was a what was the other movie? Um, Venom. That was what it was. The second Venom movie. I mean, I'm already just not a fan of those new Venom movies at all, but I thought his just was not very well done. And so there now I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with this Lord of the Rings movie. That might change things, but for the time being, just from what I've seen of Andy Serkis's directing, I'm not a big fan. That being said, if he was announced to direct the next Planet of the Apes movie, I would be excited and I would be okay with it. I would be nervous, but I'd be okay with it. I'd be totally on board, and I'm totally open to see if he can really spread his wings and do something great. And also, the thing is, he has the advantage of really knowing the ins and outs of the performance capture world. So I would trust him at the very least in that respect. So yeah, I don't know if he'd be my choice, but I would trust him enough that I wouldn't be worried if he took over. From See You Later Boy, I would trust Andy Serkis to direct. Yeah, I know a lot of you. I've seen a lot of you guys comment that before that Andy Serkis should direct one of these movies. So maybe I'm in a minority on this one, but I don't know if I'd be something I'd fully want, but I'd be okay with it if it happened. Or I'd be cautiously optimistic, I guess. All right, coming up on the last of the of the comments here, guys. So if you have anything else you want to send in before I close out here, send it in now. But from Manic Melon, I would love a slice of life comedy show about Cornelius and Zira. That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun, actually. It would basically just be like the like the middle act of Escape, but 40 minutes a week, and I think that would be great because I think that would be a lot of fun. But no, I don't think we'll ever get something like that, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective. Um, all right. From Matt's, I was the one who asked in Discord about you reviewing fan fictions. No worries. Okay, sorry about that, man. I just thought you'd might like the two I mentioned. Okay. Maybe I'll check out the two you mentioned. I don't know if I'll do a video of it, but I might check it out. And by the way, guys, if you're in the Discord, if you like tag me in something, if I don't respond, don't take it personally. There's a lot of like stuff that I have going on all the time, and so I don't check the Discord. I already don't check the Discord that often. And when I do, it's hard for me to catch up on every single message. So if I miss something, or if I see something but like just see it and then don't respond, then it's not because I'm like ignoring you. It's because I just either I forgot or I just made a note of it and then didn't get around to it, and it just is what it is. But yeah. But again, as always, I appreciate you guys suggesting me stuff and making recommendations of whether it be fan fiction, comics, books, whatever. So keep it coming in the Discord. I'm always appreciative of it. Um, from Snappy Eater Insane to Magic the Gathering Planet of the Apes crossover when. I'm not a Magic the Gathering guy. I know a couple people who are, but yeah, that'd be interesting. Kind of fantasy heavy Planet of the Apes. That'd be interesting. Um, from Christopher, love the channel, man. Thanks for all the stuff you've done for this franchise, and here's to looking forward to the next video you have in mind for the channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, man. Again, as always, I appreciate you guys commenting and being a part of this live stream and being a part of this community that I've kind of curated here over the last couple of years. So it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, I'll be back at the end of this month with another live stream. Like I said 2 weeks ago, I'm going to start doing a live stream once a month. And I did one today instead of yesterday, just because I had stuff going on yesterday, and today I had off, so I thought it'd just be easier to just do it today. So, but yeah, as always, thank you guys for tuning in today's live stream. I had a lot of fun talking about all these scenes. A lot of really great scenes. A little heavy on the modern movies. I thought we'd get a little more original series scenes to talk about, but either way, a lot of great scenes talked about here today. A lot of great conversations, a lot of great discussions. So appreciate you guys tuning in to this live stream. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel as always. But yeah, I should have another live stream going up. I think it's going to be, I said every Sunday, the last Sunday of every month. So it's probably going to be the 28th of September when I have my last one. But until then, I'll just have my one other video out this month, or two more videos out the rest of this month. Oh, but before we go, I got another super chat, so I'll pull that one up. From See You Later Boy, from See You Later Boy, who sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you thank you for the hangout. It's been a very difficult time in my life for me right now, but Planet of the Apes discussion / watch parties helps so much. Apes Together Strong. Well, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I see you guys doing those watch parties all the time in the Discord. I've mentioned it before, and I really want to join for at least one of them. I'd love to host one and do like a live stream with one, like a full-on watch party too. It's really hard for me to find the time to do one, but I am going to join at some point, I promise. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. But yeah, I love that you guys do those. It keeps the franchise alive in some way and keeps the hype going. So hope you guys have fun whenever you're doing the next one. I don't know when you're doing the next one. I think I saw you guys are doing one today, I think, possibly. So if you're doing one, that's awesome. Really excited that you are all continuing to keep this franchise hype train going. But that is all I have for you guys today. This was a lot of fun. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, thank you so much for checking out today's live stream here on Ape Nation. If you liked this live stream, make sure you hit the like down below the video. You can also join the Ape Nation Discord, like I mentioned, for daily discussions about the franchise. And if you're also interested in seeing more of these videos and more of my live streams, you can make sure you subscribe to the channel down in the bottom of this video, or just click on the channel, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all things Planet of the Apes. I'll catch you in the next one. So until then, goodbye.